Section 54 of The Dream of the Red Chamber, Book 2. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Xueqin in Singapore. The Dream of the Red Chamber, Book 2, by Xueqin. Translated by Henry Bancroft Jolly. Chapter 52, Part 1. The beautiful Ping endeavors to conceal the loss of the bracelet, made of work as fine as the feelers of a shrimp. The brave Qingwen mends the downcloak during her indisposition. But let us return to our story. Quite so, was the reply with which Dowager Lady Jia greeted by Lady Feng's proposal. I meant the other day to have suggested this arrangement, but I saw that every one of you had so many urgent matters to attend to, and I thought that, although you would not presume to bear me a grudge, were several duties now again superadded, you would unavoidably imagine that I only regarded those young grandsons and granddaughters of mine, and had no consideration for any of you who have to look after the house. But since you make this assertion yourself, it's all right. And seeing that Mrs. Xue and sister-in-law Li were sitting with her, and that Madame Xing and Mrs. You and the other ladies, who had also crossed over to pay their respects, had not as yet gone to their quarters, old Lady Jia broached the subject with Madame Wang and the rest of the company. I've never before ventured to give utterance to the remarks that just fell from my lips, she said, as first of all I was in fear and trembling lest I should have made that girl Feng more presumptuous than ever, and next lest I should have incurred the displeasure of one and all of you. But since you are all here today, and every one of you knows what brothers' wives and husbands' sisters mean, is there, I asked, anyone besides her as full of forethought? Mrs. Xue, sister-in-law Li, and Mrs. You smiled with one consent. There are indeed but few like her, they cried. That of others is simply a conventional face affection, but she is really fond of her husband's sisters and his young brother. In fact, she is as genuinely filial with you, Venerable Senior. Dowager Lady Jia nodded her head. Albeit I'm fond of her, she sighed. I can't, on the other hand, help disturbing that excessive shrewdness of hers, for it isn't a good thing. You're wrong there, worthy ancestor, Lady Feng laughed with alacrity. People in the world, as a rule, maintain that too shrewd and clever a person can't, it is feared, live long. Now, what people of the world invariably say people of the world invariably believe. But of you alone, my dear senior, can no such thing be averred or believed, for there you are, ancestor mine, 100 times sharper and cleverer than I, and how is it that you now enjoy both perfect happiness and longevity? But I presume that I shall by and by excel you by 100-fold, and die at length, after a life of 1,000 years, when you, Venerable Senior, shall have departed from these mortal scenes. After everyone is dead and gone, Dowager Lady Jia laughingly observed, what pleasure will there be if 2 antiquated elves, like you and I will be, remain behind? This joke excited general mirth. But so concerned was Baoyu about Qingwen and other matters that he was the first to make a move and return into the garden. On his arrival at his quarters, he found the rooms full of the fragrance emitted by the medicines. Not a soul did he, however, see about. Qingwen was reclining all alone on the stove couch. Her face was feverish and red. When he came to touch it, his hand experienced a scorching sensation. Retracing his steps, therefore, towards the stove, he warmed his hands and inserted them under the coverlet and felt her. Her body as well was as hot as fire. If the others have left, he then remarked, there's nothing strange about it. But are Shuyu and Qingwen too so utterly devoid of feeling as to have each gone after her own business? As regards Qingwen explained, I told her to go and have a meal. And as for Shuyu, Ping came just now and called her out of doors, and there they are outside confabbing in a mysterious way. What the drift of their conversation can be, I don't know. But they must be talking about my having fallen ill, and my not leaving this place to go home. Ping isn't that sort of person, Baoyu pleaded. Besides, she had no idea whatever about your illness, so that she couldn't have come especially to see how you were getting on. I fancy her object was to look up Xue to hobnob with her, but finding unexpectedly that you were not up to the mark, she readily said that she had come on purpose to find what progress you were making. This was quite a natural thing for a person with so wily a disposition to say, for the sake of preserving harmony. But if you don't go home, it's none of her business. You two have all along been, irrespective of other things, on such good terms that she could by no means entertain any desire to injure the friendly relations which exist between you, all on account of something that doesn't concern her. Your remarks are right enough, Xue rejoined, but I do suspect her, as why did she too start, all of a sudden, imposing upon me? Wait, I'll walk out by the back door, Baoyu smiled, and go to the foot of the window and listen to what she's saying. I'll then come and tell you. Speaking the while, he, in point of fact, sauntered out of the back door, and getting below the window, he lent an ear to the confidences. How did you manage to get it? Xue inquired with gentle voice. When I lost sight of it on that day that I washed my hands, Ping answered. Our Lady Secunda wouldn't let us make a fuss, but the moment she left the garden, she there and then sent word to the nurses stationed in the various places to institute careful search. Our suspicions, however, fell upon Miss Xing's maid, who has ever also been poverty-stricken, surmising that a young girl of her age, who had never set eyes upon anything of the kind, may possibly have picked it up and taken it. But never did we positively believe that it could be someone from this place of yours. Happily, Our Lady Secunda wasn't in the room when that nurse Song who is with you here went over, and said, producing the bracelet, that the young maid, Dreyer, had stolen it, and that she had detected her, and come to lay the matter before Our Lady Secunda. I promptly took over the bracelet from her, and recollecting how imperious and exacting Baoyu is inclined to be, fond and devoted as he is to each and all of you, held the jade which was pricked the other year by a certain Liang Er, is still, just as the matter has cooled down for the last couple of years, canvassed at times by some people eager to serve their own ends, how someone has now again turned up to purloin this gold trinket, how it was filched, to make matters worse, from a neighbour's house, how as luck would have it she took this of all things, and how it happened to be his own servant to give him a slap on his mouth. I hastened to enjoin Nurse Song to, on no account whatever, let Baoyu know anything about it, but simply pretend that nothing of the kind had transpired, and to make no mention of it to any single soul. In the second place, I said, our dowager lady and Madame Wang would get angry if they came to hear anything. Thirdly, Xiren as well as yourselves would not also cut a very good figure. Hence it was that in telling Our Lady Secunda, I merely explained that on my way to our senior mistress, the bracelet got unclasped without my knowing it, that it fell among the roots of the grass, that there was no chance of seeing it while the snow was steep, but that when the snow completely disappeared today, there it glistened, so yellow and bright, in the rays of the sun, in precisely the very place where it had dropped, and that I then picked it up. Our Lady Secunda at once credited my version. So here I come to let you all know, so as to be henceforward a little on your guard with her, and not get her a job anywhere else. Wait until Xiren's return, and then devise means to pack her off and finish with her. This young vixen has seen things of this kind before, Xue ejaculated, and how is it that she was so shallow-eyed? What could, after all, be the weight of this bracelet? Ping observed. It was once Our Lady Secunda's. She says that this is called the shrimp filler bracelet, but it's the pearl which increases its weight. That minx Qingwen is as fiery as a piece of crackling charcoal, so were anything to be told her, she may, so little able is she to curb her temper, flare up suddenly into a huff, and beat or scold her, and kick up as much fuss as she ever has done before. That's why I simply tell you. Exercise due care, and it will be all right. With this warning, she bid her farewell and went on her way. Her words delighted, vexed, and grieved Baoyu. He felt delighted on account of the consideration shown by Ping Er for his own feelings, vexed because Dreyer had turned out a petty thief, grieved that Dreyer, who was otherwise such a smart girl, should have gone in for this disgraceful affair. Returning consequently into the house, he told Qingwen every word that Ping Er had uttered. "She says," she went on to add, "that you're so fond of having things all your own way that were you to hear anything of this business, now that you're ill, you would get worse, and that she only means to broach the subject with you when you get quite yourself again." Upon hearing this, Qingwen's ire was actually stirred up, and her beautiful moth-like eyebrows contracted, and her lovely phoenix eyes stared wide like two balls. So she immediately shouted out for Dreyer. "If you go on bawling like that," Baoyu hastily remonstrated with her, "won't you show yourself ungrateful for the regard with which Ping Er has dealt with you and me? Better for us to show ourselves sensible of her kindness, and by pack the girl off and finish." "Your suggestion is all very good," Qingwen demurred, "but how could I suppress this resentment?" "What's there to feel resentment about?" Baoyu asked. "Just you take good care of yourself. It's the best thing you can do." Qingwen then took her medicine. When evening came, she had another couple of doses. But though in the course of the night she broke out into a slight perspiration, she did not see any change for the better in her state. Still she felt feverish, her head sore, her nose stopped, her voice hoarse. The next day, Dr. Wang came again to examine her pulse and see how she was getting on. Besides other things, he increased the proportions of certain medicines in the decoction and reduced others. But in spite of her fever having been somewhat brought down, her head continued to ache as much as ever. "Go and fetch the snuff," Baoyu said to Sheyue, "and give it to her to sniff. She'll feel more at ease after she has had several strong sneezes." Sheyue went, in fact, and brought a flat crystal bottle, inlaid with a couple of golden stars, and handed it to Baoyu. Baoyu speedily raised the cover of the bottle. Inside it, he discovered, represented on Western enamel, a fair-haired young girl, in a state of nature, on whose two sides figured wings of flesh. This bottle contained some really first-rate foreign snuff. Qingwen's attention was fixedly concentrated on the representation. "Sniff a little," Baoyu urged. "If the smell evaporates, it won't be worth anything." Qingwen, at his advice, promptly dug out a little with a nail and applied it to her nose, but with no effect. So digging out again a good quantity of it, she pressed it into her nostrils. Then suddenly she experienced a sensation in her nose as if some pungent matter had penetrated into the very duct into the head, and she sneezed 5 or 6 consecutive times until tears rolled down from her eyes and mucus trickled from her nostrils. Qingwen hastily put the bottle away. "It's dreadfully pungent," she laughed. "Bring me some paper, quick." A servant girl at once handed her a pile of fine paper. Qingwen extracted sheet after sheet and blew her nose. "Well," said Baoyu, smiling, "how are you feeling now?" "I'm really considerably relieved," Qingwen rejoined, laughing. "The only thing is that my temples still hurt me." "Were you to treat yourself exclusively with Western medicines, I'm sure you'd get all right," Baoyu added smilingly. Saying this, "Go," he accordingly desired Sheyue, "to our Lady Secunda, and ask her for some. Tell her that I spoke to you about them. My cousin over there often uses some Western plaster, which she applies to her temples when she got a headache. It's called Ivona, so try and get some of it." Sheyue expressed her readiness. After a protracted absence, she, in very deed, came back with a small bit of the medicine, and going quickly for a piece of red silk cutting, she got the scissors and slit 2 round slips off as big as the tip of a finger. After which, she took the medicine and, softening it by the fire, she spread it on them with a hairpin. Qingwen herself laid hold of a looking-glass with a handle and stuck the bits on both her temples. "While you were lying sick," Sheyue laughed, "you looked like a mangy-headed devil. But with this stuff on, now you present a fine sight. As for our Lady Secunda, she has been so much in the habit of sticking these things about her that they don't very much show off with her." This joke over, "Our Lady Secunda said," she resumed, addressing herself to Pao Yu, "that tomorrow is your maternal uncle's birthday, and that our mistress, your mother, asked her to tell you to go over. That whatever clothes you'll put on tomorrow should be got ready tonight, so as to avoid any trouble in the morning." "Anything that comes first to hand," Pao Yu observed, "will do well enough. There's no getting, the whole year round, at the end of all the fuss of birthdays." Speaking the while, he rose to his feet and left the room with the idea of repairing to Sichuan's quarters to have a look at the painting. As soon as he got outside the door of the courtyard, he unexpectedly spied Baoqing's young maid, Xiaoluo by name, crossing over from the opposite direction. Pao Yu, with rapid step, strode up to her, and inquired of her whither she was going. "Our two young ladies," Xiaoluo answered with a smile, "are in Miss Lin's rooms, so I'm also now on my way thither." Catching this answer, Pao Yu wheeled round and came at once with her to the Xiaoxiang lodge. Here not only did he find Baochai and her cousin, but Xing Xueqin as well. The quartet was seated in a circle on the warming frame, carrying on a friendly chat on everyday domestic matters, while Zijuan was sitting in the winter apartment, working at some needlework by the side of the window. The moment they caught a glimpse of him, their faces beamed with smiles. "There comes someone else," they cried. "There's no room for you to sit." "What a fine picture of beautiful girls in the winter chamber!" Pao Yu smiled. "It's a pity I come a trifle too late. This room is, at all events, so much warmer than any other that I won't feel cold if I plant myself on this chair." So saying, he made himself comfortable on a favorite chair of Daiyu's, was thrown a gray squirrel cover. But noticing in the winter apartment a jade stone ball full of single narcissi in clusters of 3 or 5, Pao Yu began praising their beauty with all the language he could command. "What lovely flowers!" he exclaimed. "The warmer the room gets, the stronger is the fragrance emitted by these flowers. How is it I never saw them yesterday?" "These are," Daiyu laughingly explained, "from the 2 pots of narcissi and the 2 pots of allspice sent to Miss Xue Secunda by the wife of Lai Da, the head butler in your household. Of these she gave me a pot of narcissi, and to that girl Yun a pot of allspice. I didn't at first mean to keep them, but I was afraid of showing no consideration for her kind attention. But if you want them, I'll, in my turn, present them to you. Will you have them, eh?" "I've got 2 pots of them in my rooms," Pao Yu replied, "but they are not up to these. How is it you are ready to let others have what cousin Qin has given you? This can on no account do." "With me here," Daiyu added, "the medicine pot never leaves the fire, the whole day long. I'm only kept together by medicines. So how could I ever stand the smell of flowers bunging my nose? It makes me weaker than ever. Besides, if there's the least whiff of medicine in this room, it will, contrariwise, spoil the fragrance of these flowers. So isn't it better that you should have them carried away? These flowers will then breathe a purer atmosphere, and won't have any mixture of smells to annoy them." "I've also got now someone ill in my place," Pao Yu retorted with a smile, "and medicines are being decocted. How comes it you happen to know nothing about it?" "This is strange," Daiyu laughed. "I was really speaking quite thoughtlessly, for whoever knows what's going on in your apartments? But why do you, instead of getting here a little earlier to listen to old stories, come at this moment to bring trouble and vexation upon your own self?" Pao Yu gave a laugh. "Let's have a meeting tomorrow," he proposed, "for we've also got the themes. Let's sing the Narcissus and Allspice." "Never mind, drop that," Daiyu rejoined upon hearing his proposal. "I can't venture to write any more verses. Whenever I indite any, I'm mulcted. So I'd rather not be put to any great shame." While uttering these words, she screened her face with both hands. "What's the matter?" Pao Yu smiled. "Why are you again making fun of me? I'm not afraid of any shame, but, lo, you screen your face." The next time, Baochai felt impelled to interpose laughingly. I convene the meeting. We'll have 4 themes for odes and 4 for songs, and each one of us will have to write 4 odes and 4 roundelays. The theme of the first ode will treat of the plan of the great extreme, the rhyme fixed being xian, and the meter consisting of 5 words in each line. We'll have to exhaust every one of the rhymes under xian, and mind, not a single one may be left out. From what you say, Baoting smilingly observed, it's evident that you're not in earnest, cousin, in setting the club on foot. It's clear enough that your object is to embarrass people, but as far as the verses go, we could forcibly turn out a few, just by higgledy-piggledy taking several passages from the canon of changes, and inserting them in our own. But, after all, what fun would there be in that sort of thing? When I was 8 years of age, I went with my father to the western seaboard to purchase foreign goods. Who would have thought it? We came across a girl from the Zhenzhen kingdom. She was in her 18th year, and her features were just like those of the beauties one sees represented in foreign pictures. She has also yellow hair, hanging down and arranged in endless plaits. Her whole head was ornamented with one mass of cornelian beads, amber, cat's eyes, and grandmother greenstone. On her person she wore a chain armor plated with gold, and a coat, which was up to the very sleeves, embroidered in foreign style. In a belt she carried a Japanese sword, also inlaid with gold and studded with precious gems. In very truth, even in pictures, there is no one as beautiful as she. Some people said that she was thoroughly conversant with Chinese literature, and could explain the 5 classics, that she was able to write odes and devise roundelays, and so my father requested an interpreter to ask her to write something. She thereupon wrote an original stanza, which all with one voice praised for its remarkable beauty and extolled for its extraordinary merits. My dear cousin, eagerly smiled Baoyu, produce what she wrote, and let's have a look at it. It's put away in Nanjing, Baoting replied with a smile, so how could I at present go and fetch it? Great was Baoyu's disappointment at this rejoinder. I've no luck, he cried, to see anything like this in the world. Daiyu laughingly laid hold of Baoting. Don't be humbugging us, she remarked. I know well enough that you are not likely, on a visit like this, to have left any such things of yours at home. You must have brought them along. Yet here you are now again palming off a fib on us by saying that you haven't got them with you. You people may believe what she says, but I, for my part, don't. Baoting got red in the face. Drooping her head against her chest, she gave a faint smile, but she uttered not a word by way of response. Really, Pinger, you've got into the habit of talking like this, Baochai laughed. You're too shrewd by far. Bring them along, Daiyu urged with a smile, and give us a chance of seeing something and learning something. It won't hurt them. There's a whole heap of trunks and baskets, Baochai put in laughing, which haven't been yet cleared away, and how could one tell in which particular one they're packed up? Wait a few days, and when things will have been put straight a bit, we'll try and find them, and every one of us can then have a look at them. That will be all right. But if you happen to remember the lines, she pursued, speaking to Baoting, why not recite them for our benefit? I remember so far that her lines consisted of a stanza with 5 characters in each line, Baochai returned for an answer. For a foreign girl, they're verily very well done. Don't begin for a while, Baochai exclaimed. Let me send for Yun'er, so that she too might hear them. At this remark, she called Xiaoluo to her. Go to my place, she observed, and tell her that a foreign beauty has come over, who's a splendid hand at poetry. You, who have poetry on the brain, are invited to come and see her. And then lay hold of this verse maniac of ours and bring her along. Xiaoluo gave a smile and went away. After a long time, they heard Xiangyun laughingly inquire, What foreign beauty has come? But while asking this question, she made her appearance in company with Xianglin. We heard your voices long before we caught a glimpse of your persons, the party laughed. Baoqing and her companions motioned to her to sit down, and, in due course, she reiterated what she had told them a short while back. "Be quick, out with it! Let's hear what it is," Xiaoming smilingly cried. Baoqing thereupon recited, "Last night in the purple chamber I dreamt. This evening on the Shuiguo Isle I sing. The clouds by the isle cover the broad sea. The zephyr from the peaks reaches the woods. The moon has never known present or past. From shallow and deep causes springs love's fate. When I recall my spring south of the Han, can I not feel disconsolate at heart?" After listening to her, "She does deserve credit," they unanimously shouted, "for she really is far superior to us, Chinese that we be." But scarcely was this remark out of their lips when they perceived Xue walk in. "Madame Wang," she said, "has sent a servant to inform you, Master Secundus, that you are to go at an early hour tomorrow morning to your maternal uncle's, and that you are to explain to him that her ladyship isn't feeling quite up to the mark, and that she cannot pay him a visit in person." Baoyu precipitately jumped to his feet and signified his assent by answering yes. He then went on to inquire of Baochai and Baoqing. "Are you two going?" "We're not going," Baochai rejoined. "We simply went there yesterday to take our present over, but we left after a short chat." Baoyu thereupon pressed his female cousins to go ahead, and he then followed them. But Daiyu called out to him again and stopped him. "When is Xi Ren, after all, coming back?" she asked. "She'll naturally come back after she has accompanied the funeral," Baoyu retorted. Daiyu had something more she would have liked to tell him, but she found it difficult to shape it into words. After some moments spent in abstraction, "Off with you!" she cried. Baoyu too felt that he treasured in his heart many things he would fain confide to her, but he did not know what to bring to his lips. So, after cogitating within himself for a time, he likewise observed smilingly, "We'll have another chat tomorrow," and, as he said so, he wended his way down the stairs. Lowering his head, he was just about to take a step forward, when he twisted himself round again with alacrity. "Now that the nights are longer than they were, you are sure to cough often and wake several times in the night, eh?" he asked. "Last night," Daiyu answered, "I was all right. I coughed only twice, but I only slept at the fourth watch for a couple of hours, and then I couldn't close my eyes again." "I really have something very important to tell you," Baoyu proceeded with another smile. "It only now crossed my mind." Saying this, he approached her and added in a confidential tone, "I think that the bird's nets sent to you by cousin Baochai." Barely, however, had he had time to conclude than he spied Dame Zhao enter the room to pay Daiyu a visit. "Miss, have you been all right these last few days?" she inquired. Daiyu readily guessed that there was an attention extended to her merely as she had, on her way back from Tan Chun's quarters, to pass by her door, so speedily smiling a forced smile, she offered her a seat. "Many thanks, Dame Zhao," she said, "for the trouble of thinking of me, and for coming in person in this intense cold." Hastily also bidding a servant pour the tea, she simultaneously winked at Baoyu. Baoyu grasped her meaning, and forthwith quitted the apartment. As this happened to be about dinner time, and he had been enjoined as well by Madame Wang to be back at an early hour, Baoyu returned to his quarters, and looked on while Qingwen took her medicine. Baoyu did not desire Qingwen this evening to move into the winter apartment, but stayed with Qingwen outside. And, giving orders to bring the warming frame near the winter apartment, Xue slept on it. End of section 54. Recording by Cao Yuxing in Singapore.